Greetings Guardians, my name is Bife here. In this series of videos I'm talking about the world of Destiny, and the creatures, characters, and factions that inhabit it. In this moment of stillness, we can stop and see the world for the garden that it is, with the hope that one day it shall bloom once more. Silence. It is a terrible thing. It is absence, but most of all, the absence of purpose. To some, it is a relief, but to the Taken, it is anathema. The Taken are beings that have been threshed and hollowed. They are shells of their former selves, filled only with instinct. Their will is to follow, and follow they will. Those with a strong enough command over them will be able to reach out and take control of the Taken. Such was the way with Oryx, the Taken King. But when Oryx died, those armies of Taken that he had created were left to drift. Some found different voices to follow for a time. Voices like those of Riven, Zivu-Arath, Rolk, the Witness, and Savathun. But all of these great controlling voices kept falling to the Guardians, one at a time. Deep within the Ascendant Plane, the Taken were left in their emptiness, in their stillness, in their listlessness, and in their minds the silence grew. It grew and ate at them until it was too much. They erupted into madness and chittering, for their need is for one to command them. It was like a great wave of sound. It spread out across the Ascendant Plane. Together they called out into the sea of screams, begging for one to command them, to lead them, to be what they no longer had. A god. To those who are unaware of the consequences of such an action in such a place, this would mean little. For those who know the Ascendant Plane by its weft and warp, know that it is not like this universe and our material plane. Within the Ascendant Realm, one's will becomes law. This is how the Hive carve out their throne worlds, where the laws of the sword logic reign supreme. And so, what happens when the billions of Taken all cry out for a leader all at once? The answer is as simple as it is terrifying. They called out into the silence and gave it shape. Their cries for leadership reverberated within the Ascendant Plane, and from their own will was risen something else entirely. We know little of this terrible thing, but we do know that it has a title. It is the new Lord of the Taken. You will know its passage by the screaming, lidless eyes that follow its adherents. You will know fatal dread when you dare to return their gaze. It is the spectre of the Dreadnought, the creator of the Dire Taken. They know it as the will without will. They know it as the Lord of every nothing. We first learned of this entity when its newly corrupted Dire Taken made their assaults upon the worlds of Sol. To understand the manner of this assault, you must know what it is to be Taken. Some might simply see the process as simple corruption. To an extent, and from an outside observer, this seems to be correct. A combatant, an enemy of the Taken, is swallowed up in a rift of black flame, and is then returned to this world as an inverted shadow of itself, hollow and ravenous. But that is merely the process as we see it. In the time of our assault on the Temple of the Navigator in the throne world of Savathun, we discovered an artifact that shed light upon the truth of the matter. a tablet of ruin, located beneath a statue depicting Oryx in his battle with Akka, the Worm of Secrets. From the memories indwelled within this tablet, we learned that the act of taking was not corruption itself. It was transposition, interdimensional abduction. To take something is, in fact, not to corrupt it. It is simply to forcibly move it from the material plane to the ascendant plane. Once the act of taking is complete, then the process of hollowing and corrupting can be conducted by others, darker gods with ruinous intentions. This process of teleportation, abduction, transposition, call it what you will, was what the Lord of Every Nothing and its dire Taken were trying to do with our planets. Using great eversion anchors, its forces attempted to take entire worlds and drag them into the ascendant plane. We managed to thwart these efforts on Earth and in the Dreaming City, but we were not done with the Lord of Every Nothing. It haunted the Dreadnought still, claiming many great warriors for its cause. Whilst these made for mighty abductees to serve its cause, there were greater warriors still who heard its call and chose to serve it willingly. None were greater than the Dread. There are many who have been able to sway the loyalties of these lost warriors since the defeat of the Witness, their original creator and master. But only the Lord of Every Nothing has laid claim to one amongst them who is truly unique within their cohort. For the Lord of Every Nothing commands the loyalties of Keit'ehr, the first subjugator, the first of the Dread to be shaped in the image of Rulk of Lubre, the first disciple of the Witness. Keit'ehr would learn to serve the Lord of Every Nothing. She was the one who slew Eris Morn and forced her to retreat into her throne world. She was the one who commanded the Dread to serve their new master. And she was the one who would deliver its ministrations and effectively become its High Priestess. The first of the subjugators would take on a new title, the First Knife of the Reshaped, and her purpose would be to carry out the will of that which was born from silence. Even as we slew her aboard the Dreadnought and sundered every attempt by the Lord of Every Nothing to advance its cause, our actions clearly were not enough. More pressingly still, it appears that Keit'ehr, the murderer of Eris Morn, somehow survived. Whether this is because she somehow has a throne world, or whether it was because she has somehow preserved herself, thanks to the powers of her new god, is unknown to us. But for those listening to the currents and tides of the Sea of Screams, you can still hear her. Once there was silence, and now, quietly, far off in the distance, there are sermons. A hymn of balance, sung by the first to the greatest, across the broken sea. What is death to you but food, O Lord? What is death to dread and shade, but the path back to you? Your strength weighs heavy, swollen by tithe and mind, near to balance with ringed six. Listen and know I am yours, Keit'ehr, knife, dread fulcrum, ready at the doorstep of light and dark, poised on the threshold of life and death. The pivot is yours, the fulcrum is yours, the balance tips to nil. First among reshaped, first to fealty, sings praise to the will without will, sings praise to the unattended door, waiting to be opened. when the will without will equals outer strength, and the door unlocks, and the door unseals, and you take its place, and it takes yours, all in balance still. The fields of life shall be yours to raise. Sixth, now lost at sea, shall be yours for tithe, and you will sing alone. A hymn of balance from Keit'ehr to the Lord of Zeros, in singing so sworn. With this hymn to that born of silence, and recounting the final visions of Dredge and Bale, the plans of the Lord of Every Nothing are revealed to us, and they are nothing short of utter ruination. Its plans involve Six, Dredge and Bale, and the death of the Traveler. Bale, whose ambition was ever to liberate the lost city from the light, intended to kill the Traveler. Each time he killed something, it was tithed to Six, his master, the member of the Nine associated with Saturn, and as an acolyte tithes to its commanding knight or wizard, with every death, Six would grow in power. With the death of the Traveler, Bale would tithe the death of a god to Six, and allow it to enact its plan, to escape. Six has long desired escape into another dimension, and it believes that by escaping into the ascendant plane, by enacting a divine transposition upon itself, it would be able to live on. Of course, such a divine transposition would bring Armageddon to the people of Sol, and it seems it would also present an opportunity to another in waiting. Six would enter the ascendant plane, but the Lord of Every Nothing, in the moment of this unguarded, unattended door being thrust open, would trade places with it. Apparently because it is balanced well enough with Six that their powers would be equated and would transfer from one dimension to another. Six would become lost, left to wander and struggle and probably die within the sea of screams. It would not achieve the ascension that it believed. The Lord of Every Nothing's great priest believed that Six would be tithed to the Lord of Every Nothing. Meanwhile, the new god of the Taken would be freed within material space, free to feast upon all of reality, to consume the living universe and all its inhabitants, to burn the fields of life itself and sow them with salt and black fire, to pass all of existence through its 1,000 eyes and watch as existence trembles and dies, until at last it stands alone upon the material plane, where it would exist without challengers, without caveat, without equal, a master of a dead universe, filled with nothing but its worshippers, proclaiming its magnificence, its majesty, its power. With this, we now know what the Lord of Every Nothing intends to do. It has seen our universe, and from the ravenous hunger of the Taken that spawned it, it has seen us for what we are in its grand, terrible plans. Sustenance and noise. And with its plans revealed, we now know that it is of the utmost importance to stop Six. Dredge and Bale's plans have been thwarted, but the Lord of Every Nothing is an eternal threat, and those that wait within the ascendant plane know nothing but patience. For should it be allowed to guide Six to its ascension, it will rule forever, and those meager moments of waiting will seem like nothing. There will be nothing left. only silence, and the hymnals of 1,000 voices, taken voices, calling out into the night, for the silence will have ended. We can prepare for this villain on the horizon, but in doing so we should also understand Six and those that served its interests. Understanding the role of the Nine and their final moves as we approach the Great Silence is crucial. That is why we shall next investigate one of the oldest enigmas of the system, a being whose will, much like the Taken, is not his own. That shall be the next topic of our next investigation. The mysterious entity from the Jovians, known as Zur. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to go ahead and leave a like, and also remember that you can hit subscribe and the bell next to subscribe to get lore videos and lore content from Destiny and other universes. In addition, if you want to leave your own thoughts down below in the comments, you can do so, and if you want to support my content more, you can do so on Patreon. You can sign up for free to get regular weekly updates on my content. You can also jump in at a paid tier if you're feeling so inclined. Those who are seeing their names in the credits right now are a part of the Disciple tier. But, as per usual, know that your viewership, as always, has been quite enough for me, and that in the meantime, my name is Bife. Ad Astra et Ultra. I'll see you, Starside.